Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last video, I was in the middle of talking about how to use the burette and some things to look out for. I was just talking about that you don't need to measure things directly at zero. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate like what I'm doing using water. So the first thing you want to do is you want to use a funnel. So here I have a funnel. You're going to put it at the top, and then you're going to fill it up with your substance. So I'm just going to use water. And so first thing you want to do before you start pouring anything into your burette is you make sure the burette is closed. So I make sure it's perpendicular, not parallel. So the stopcock needs to be perpendicular. And then I'm going to add my water. So I add water to the burette, and you don't want to pour the substance in the funnel too quickly, because what will happen is it'll collect into the funnel, start to go up, and then if it stays up here and you fill it up all the way up here and you stop, then you're still going to have some in the funnel and it's still going to be coming in and it can overflow. So you don't want to pour it into the funnel too quickly. So, so when you get there, you might want to raise the funnel up a little bit as you're putting it in, or just take it all the way out as well. But you'll notice if you put it in, it goes up past the line, but if I take it out, it'll go down, right? So if I add a little bit more, so notice, okay, so there we go. So notice that it stayed in the funnel until I pulled it out. So that's one of the reasons why you got to be very careful. And once you are done, you want to take the funnel out before you start titrating or collecting whatever it is you're collecting, because for one reason you'll notice that the volume changes because the neck of the funnel is in the fluid. That's an obvious reason why you want to take it out. A not so obvious reason might be the fact that there might be fluid left in here, and as you are draining some of that fluid, you might drop, maybe a couple of drops might drop into the fluid after you've already measured the initial volume, and then that's going to mess up your volume. So before you start doing your experiment and putting volume from your burette into whatever flask or reaction you are doing, take the funnel out. All right, so notice that I have the water. I'll bring it closer to you. So you'll notice that I have the water is above the zero mark. So I need to bring that down, but I also need to drain the fluid out through the end here, because you'll notice I don't have any fluid in here and I need fluid in there. So I'm going to, and also I need to get rid of the air bubbles. So I'm going to turn the stopcock 3 times. 1, and I see a couple of air bubbles in there, so I'm going to turn it again. 2, and then 3. Okay, so it looks like all the air bubbles are out. If there were still air bubbles, I might do it one or two more times. Let's do it another time. I think I still need to drain. So I'm going to drain. Let me bring this back down. I'm going to drain this down past the zero mark. Okay, so It's down past the 0 mark. I've got my air bubbles out. And then again, I want to make sure that when I'm reading the burette, so first of all, you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it, but it's below the 0 mark. That is fine. I don't want to play around with like adding a little bit of water, draining it, so that's at 0. All I'm going to do is I'm going to measure where it's at, and that'll be my initial volume. And then I'm going to, if in this experiment we want 25 mils, so all I need to do is whatever my initial volume is, I add 25 to that, and that's my final volume that I want to get to. So here, what you can do to measure the volume is you can use the back of your student ID if you've got one, or you could use your finger, and then you could create a shadow so you can see the bottom of the meniscus a lot better. So you could do that, and you'll see the meniscus show up a lot clearer with the dark background. You could also use your finger to give it more of a flesh-colored background, but either way, it works. So I think the ID probably works a little bit better. The only problem with the ID is that it makes it hard to see the lines. So the black strip on your ID might not work, but the white clear or the white background works. You could also use a piece of paper as well. So I would read this. Once I read it, I record it in my notebook, and then I'm ready to go. One of the other things you want to make sure that you're doing is you make sure that it's at eye level because of parallax. So if I'm looking down on it, it's going to make the volume measurement look as though it's higher than it is. Or if it's too high and I'm looking up at it, then it's going to read lower than I would usually. Well, for the burette, it's the opposite. So if it's I'm looking up, it's going to read. Let's see, if I'm reading up, it's going to read higher because the numbers get higher as they go down. But either way, you want to make sure that you're looking straight on to avoid the parallax error. If you need to bring it down, but the tip of your burette is going to hit the table, then you can move the burette over towards the side, and you can lower it past the bench if you need to. You could also, I wouldn't suggest standing on a stool, but you can bring it over to the edge of a sink and do it that way. You could lower it past the bench. So avoid the parallax. What else was there? I think that was it. Let me double check. Parallax. Another thing is when you're reading this, you might get in the habit of, or you might be tempted to take your goggles off. So I'm not wearing goggles right now, but if you pretend that these are goggles, then you might be in the habit of doing this, or taking your goggles off and trying to read the burette. Don't take your goggles off. Just read through your goggles. It's a safety thing. So accidents happen, so you always want to be prepared. So you never take your goggles off while you're reading any instrument, no matter how badly you want to. So don't take your goggles off. Let's see, what else was there? I think that's it. Okay, so that's it for the Coke Lab pre-lab procedures. So when you come into lab, you should be ready to go. See you guys in lab.